If you ever thought that leadership was about being polished and perfect, then this is your permission to stop, because great leadership starts where the bullshit ends. This week's video is a bit different. It's been really busy, but I want to keep this rolling. I want to keep this as a committed action. So here we are with episode number 3. This is all about authenticity as a leader. Now I've got 5 points I want to share with you in this video, and by the end of it, you're going to understand hopefully a little bit about what authenticity looks like as a leader and what that means to you. And I'm going to give you some ideas and things to look out for. So let's get into it. All right, number 1, authenticity builds trust. People believe in and follow leaders that they connect with and that they do actually believe, not the ones that just look the part, you know. And some people think that they need to show up looking a certain way, or that they need to use social media as a highlight reel of how great they are, thinking that that will be something that brings influence. Trust is the most important thing in leadership. Trust is what allows conflict to be productive. Without trust, conflict is simply disagreeing, fighting, and getting in each other's way. But every team needs to be able to have conflict. You can't unless you've got trust. So think about how that authenticity can help you to build trust, rather than what you think you need to be flexing about on social media. Point number 2 is people, they don't want perfect. They want relatable. It's very easy to show up as anything that you want to in this day and age with modern technology and social and everything else. But being relatable is being able to show all sides of your personality and to share that vulnerability. And I would encourage you to remember that, because a lot of vulnerable posts that we see, or vulnerable shares that we read or see or watch on social media, they aren't really vulnerable, because if you've posted something, then you know that there's a benefit to it. So that's not like true vulnerability. True vulnerability is in the everyday moments and, you know, wearing your heart on your sleeve, or however that looks to you. And I would encourage you to share what it looks like to you in the comments. But to me, it's being able to share if I'm struggling with something, or if I can't figure something out. Being able to share those imperfections in a conversation with people, to say, listen, I don't know the answer yet, but I want to figure it out. We're going to figure it out together. You know, that kind of approach works well for me. But what works well for you? Point number 3 is consistency beats charisma. Think about that friend that you have that's always making the elaborate play to kind of impress you, or you know you can't really rely on them when you really need them, or when it really matters, but they try and compensate by buying you things or overdoing it, you know. And the consistency is where it really lives. The consistency is where that real quality exists. So how you show up every single day, how you show up when things are going well, how you show up when things aren't going well, that's your consistency. And in a world where leadership is very weak and fake, and it's easy to impersonate or pretend, we've got to be able to be consistent in our words and our actions. Point number 4, transparency creates safety. People don't need to know everything. They don't need to know all the details. They don't need to know it at every level. They don't need to know it at a leadership level. But they need to know that they're safe. People need to understand the lay of the land, and this can be really difficult, especially when you're running a small team and people's positions are under threat. And I've had this before, not only with my staff or team, or, you know, in a sporting sense, but also if you feel like your own position, you know, as a company is not great. You've got to be able to help people understand where they're at. They don't need to know everything, but they just need to know what part they play, and they need to understand that they are safe and what their options are at all times. That's a really hard thing to do. It's an easy thing to say, it's an even easier thing to listen to, but to actually do it is really tough. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect at all this stuff, but what I am saying that great leaders are able to help people to feel safe no matter what the situation. Even when there is a disruptive or volatile situation, how you handle that, and your manner and your words that you use and the class that you bring to the table can still help to make and help people to feel safe. Right, listen, point number 5, this is kind of the last point, is lead from where you are. You know, we're leaders, all of us, but the ones that are watching this that are in leadership positions where you've got other people that you're responsible for, you know, you can fall into this trap of having to be perfect and to know everything. We're only human as well. So you can only lead from where you're at, you know, and to try and pretend that you're something that you're not can be a recipe for disaster. Fake it before you make it is terrible advice. we've got to lead from where we are. We've got to be able to set a marker in the ground for everyone to understand and agree on what the past means, what the present means, and what the future means. And the more you can bring people into that conversation, the more you can bring people into that way of thinking, the easier it is to know where you're at all times. And that's so important. So just lead where you are. You know, if you want to build something, I want to build a name for myself in the leadership realm. I want to be able to take my companies to not just the next level, but infinite amounts of next levels. But I have to also accept where I'm at right now, which is I'm getting dozens of views, not hundreds of views. You know, I'm not relatively well known. I've got a company, I've got 3 companies, and they're all okay. You know, I'm not where I want to be, so I'm not going to pretend that that's where I am. Instead, I'm going to lead from where I am right now, knowing where I'm going. And I want to look back at this video one day, and I want to go, yeah, do you remember that video by the river where I said I wanted to be these things? Well, now I have achieved them, because I know that the version of me 5, 6, 7 years ago would look at the version of me now and go, that's what I want to be. That's who I want to be. So lead from where you're at and understand that we can use social media. We can use this internet age to document our story, to look back and share it in the future and see where we've come from. So whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, know that when you are the best leader you can be, the world is a better place. And that is so true. We have to lead ourselves first. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. Remember, great leadership starts where the bullshit ends. And it's time to step into that best version of you as a leader and do everything you can, because the world needs it now. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Apologies again for not being in the polished setting, but I probably think it's quite cool actually. I'd love to know what you think. I want you to share this with other people that you think it'd be useful for. And if you want to subscribe while you're here, that would be a blessing for me, but also for you, because you will get a notification whenever I release a new video. Thanks for watching. See you soon.